word of a power shift hitting the top level of the American-led reconstruction team. Question, is our Iraq rebuilding plan much too ambitious?
Well, journalist and Mideast expert, I think that name is wrong.
No, that's
Imran Anwar. I thought we had you misspelled there. Imran, good to see you. Well, I know we've been trying to get you in for, well, months and months and months, and it's so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's get it rolling, okay? Juliet, you want to start?
Yeah, let's talk about this this shakeup now. Jay Garner, the general there, in charge of reconstruction, sets a goal yesterday, June 15th. Now he's on his way out, probably in the next 2 weeks, as is a significant number of his staff. What kind of message does this send to the Iraqi people? Because there we know perception is very important.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, as a friend of mine often says, perception is reality, especially in that part of the world. The problem here is we're sending mixed signals. One of the signals we're sending is we really don't know what we're doing. Two, the message we're sending is that we're thinking this is going to be too easy. Even if Gardner stays there, the timetable that he's setting off, having stabilization in 2 weeks, it's not like a patient who has a heart attack or somebody that you're going to stabilize in 2 weeks with some medicines. This might take years before stabilization returns. And the second problem is, how do you define stabilization? It means different things to different people. No matter how happy you are, somebody will say, well, this crime happened or that explosion happened and there is no stability. So we have an overly aggressive timetable here, number one. Number two, we're giving the impression we don't really know what to do next, and that's going to bite us in the long run.
How? In what way?
Number one, people will understand that, listen, these guys did not think this through. This was more about coming here. So anybody who goes out to the Iraqi people and says this was about taking over, colonizing the Iraqi people, will have more of an audience saying, yeah, maybe that's right, because there was nothing to do about the liberation part. It was overthrow Saddam, great, job well done. But the problem is, when Saddam was here, at least I did not have people shooting at me. I knew where my next meal was coming from, however little it was. Now I have no electricity, no running water, and what is happening is that freedom would be a useful thing to me if I knew if I had all these good things. If I don't have all these good things, then America was only here to do something to make Israel happy, maybe, or for oil, or for contracts for Halliburton or something. All these things will take on new meanings, and that is going to be very damaging to us.
What do you think the timeline should be, a deadline to establish some sort of stability in the country? Of course, Jay Garner said the 15th. What do you think it's going to take for people who are out of food, out of water, out of electricity?
Excellent question. Excellent question. My feeling had been that instead of making these very long-term plans, we might be there for 2 years or 5 years, what we should be saying is the following. People, we are here to help you see the value of having Saddam, getting rid of him. One of the first things we should do is go after basic necessities: food, medicine, clothing, shelter. Food, medicine, clothing, we should set up distribution centers right in the palaces Saddam Hussein lived in. Have the ordinary Iraqi people walk up the steps of these palaces thinking, my child died because of hunger and starvation, I lost relatives, I didn't know where my next meal was coming from, and I'm going past these gold-plated toilets. So have the food distribution centers. That's good PR, so you can do propaganda without doing propaganda. Okay?
That sounds like a good idea.
Number one. Number two, you're giving people food that they need right away. Plus, just having trucks in the street throwing food at people is not the way to show it's an organized, stabilized situation. But if you issue ration cards even, and people know, okay, Mondays I go do this, on Wednesdays I get medicines, it brings regularity. So stabilization is more symbolic. Stabilization happens from a perception that I know what I'm doing on Monday and Friday and next week. If you do even small things like this, that will help, number one. Number two, what we need to do is to get our best construction companies. I don't care if it's Halliburton. We need to go in there not to build in the infrastructure 5 years from now. Let's build hospitals. Let's say build a massive works project and say we're starting the 2 biggest hospitals in the Middle East. Nobody's going to complain who's making the money, whether it's Cheney or Bush or Saddam Hussein's son. Nobody cares if a good thing is being done.
Well, they might care here.
Yeah. Can you fly over there right now to Baghdad and get this organized? You got some great ideas.
Yeah, this sounds great.
I'm available. The White House has not called me yet.
Well, they've got a couple openings.
Tell me this. We talked about this for a long before the war even started, that we had to have patience. This thing may go on for years and years. And now it seems like we're losing our patience already. One thing that we're kind of upset about and freaked out about was we see these clerics come over from Iran, this Ayatollah Hakim. What is their agenda? Are they just afraid of what their neighbor's going to turn into?
The agenda, obviously everybody has their own agenda. The problem we have is the only reason the late Ayatollah Khomeini took over in Iran was, one, because people hated America, and two, there was a power vacuum after the Shah fell. In Iraq, people are currently happy that Saddam is gone, so we have a little bit of goodwill left over. But in the meantime, because of the things we just talked about, people not knowing what is happening next, people not even knowing who's going to run the show and how they're going to run the show, that leaves a power vacuum. Those power vacuums are what are filled by either fundamentalists or anybody who looks like he's organized. He doesn't even have to be organized. If he looks organized with 10,000 people, if 2,000 of those 10,000 people have weapons or have a spirit to go out and go door to door and do things, you got a big problem.
Well, I tell you, I wish we had more time.
Why not?
Yeah, we got to get you back here.
Imran Anwar, we will have you back.
Thank
That
you
was
so
good
much.
stuff.
Thank you.
Great ideas. All right, just ahead, cutting taxes, good first step or backing the country into a corner?